Hello, this is Backer from Tech at Service, and today we'll be looking at the iPhone XS. Now, this customer brought this phone a couple of weeks ago, and the screen was turning on. There was like some lines around the screen, and now it's completely dead. The screen is completely dead. So we're gonna test out a new screen and see how is it working. Let's get started. The tools we'll be using in this video is a TriStar screwdriver, a Pentalobe screwdriver, a metal pry tool, a pair of tweezers, and a plastic spudger. Let's get started. Our first step is removing the two bottom screws, the Pentalobe screws, using a Pentalobe screwdriver. Okay. We'll also use some heat around the sides of the phone because this screen has been held by an adhesive. It's an IP7 water resistant adhesive. So we'll use our hot air gun to apply some heat so it's easier to lift up the screen. Next step is to take the metal pry tool and insert into the phone just a small gap so you can cut around the adhesive. Just like that. Don't insert it too deep as you might damage other components. And also the other side too. And just before you lift it up, apply more heat here so you can open it more easily. Now, how does the screen is going to come out? It's going to open like a book, like this. So take out the screen from here and just wiggle it on the side, on the top, and start lifting it up. It's going to open like that. Okay. I forgot to mention we will also need a Phillips screwdriver for the screw here. It's the only one Phillips screw. Okay. Now we'll use our TriStar screwdriver and our Phillips screwdriver to remove this metal plate securing the cables and the battery. And as I mentioned, it's always better to use a magnetic mat to secure the screws and so they don't scatter away, and it's also good when you assemble back the phone. It's a total of 5 screws for this metal plate. Start taking out the metal plate. So first thing first, before you disconnect any other cables, it's always recommended to disconnect the battery. So disconnect this cable here for the battery using our plastic spudger. Okay, Now that it's disconnected, we can disconnect the other cables for the screen. So here's the LCD. And here's the digitizer. And this is the proximity sensor. Okay, now we can start lifting up the screen. Our next step is removing the old adhesive. So just start by taking it off. Should come off really easily since we already applied some heat. And also the other side. Okay, now we can apply our, so this is the screen. These screens now are OEMs. We're not Apple authorized, and this is not an Apple screen, but it has the same specs for the Apple screen. And this is our new adhesive, new water resistant adhesive. Let's start applying it on. Okay. And just using your plastic spudger, just go around like that, make sure it's sticking. Just like that. And you can take the first part off and apply more pressure with the plastic spudger. Okay, now it's time to try our new screen. So first of all, to take this proximity sensor with our TriStar, taking out 3 screws. Okay. Now we need to apply just a bit more heat here so this part is easier to come out. Okay, now with a pair of tweezers and a plastic spudger, we can now remove this piece. So using the tweezer, just take this part out and be very careful and gentle, since this piece includes the Face ID, and if you damage this proximity sensor, it has to be replaced and the customer will no longer be able to use Face ID. So be very careful. Okay, now with the plastic spudger, you can just go from here. Start taking it out. And it's out. Just put it aside. And now we're done with this screen. It's time to install the proximity sensor onto the new screen. Make sure it's inserted fully. So it's time to put our 3 tri-star screws. Okay, it's time to test this new screen. Plugging the proximity sensor cable first. The digitizer, and finally the LCD. Now we can plug in the battery. Okay, let's give it a shot. Okay, so it's turning on. It's just that before, when I used to push the power button, there was nothing showing on the screen, and now it's just showing the charging sign. It's a good sign. That means the phone is turning on. It just needs charge. And we'll disconnect the cable and put it in our fast charging machine, so for a faster boot. can start putting this metal plate back. While the phone is turning on. Our 4 TriStar screws and 1 Phillips screw. And our last TriStar screw. Okay, still charging. We'll take this off for now. We know it's something is showing on the screen, so we'll just take this sticker out, start putting the screen back on. Okay. Now, when you close it up, you would want to start from the top. So secure it on the top first. And continue your ways to the side. And the bottom lastly. Till you hear it clip.